Hello friends, FoxyDits here, coming at you with Chapter 6 Skip for the PC and PS5 versions of Final Fantasy VII Remake. This version of the skip is going to take you from just after shutting off your second lamp all the way to the end of the chapter using this little out-of-bounds bug that we like to call the slide swap glitch. And you may notice this looks a lot like the PS4 version of the skip. It basically is, just with a couple of extra steps. It's arguably easier in some ways too. So without further ado, why don't we get into learning how it's done. For setup, pretty much all you're going to need to do is have Barrett be at 1 HP by the time you start doing the skip, and then have Cloud be damaged enough to be able to use a few potions on him, or 1 or 2 cures if you're playing on hard mode. Alright, so the first step in setting up our skip is going to be to trigger this cutscene ahead of this balance beam that we're making our way across, so that it doesn't get in our way as we run through this area in the future. We're going to backtrack all the way to that tall ladder that immediately followed the air vent sequence, and we're going to use that to glitch our party members into sticking around on it. Climb about 2/3 the way up until both party members get on. Ideally you want Barrett on the bottom, but Tifa works too if you're fast enough. And then whoever's on bottom, have them throw potions on Cloud as Cloud runs away. Now you have to time that first potion well, otherwise the person on the bottom will instantly use it. But it takes 3 potions, or 2 cures I'll say, probably, to get to the balance beam before they can move, really. And if you do it correctly, you see how they're just sitting there? They don't know where Cloud is. They can't catch up to him until he gets off on the other side of the balance beam. And so we're going to use that extra time we have to run all the way to the 3 Gash Strike fight just up those stairs. And we're going to warp both Barrett and Tifa off of this balance beam as we enter that fight. And what that does is it imbues them with a special property called Null Space Disable. Null Space Disable allows Tifa, specifically, to move out of bounds freely without the game's anti-out-of-bounds code preventing her and making her jitter back and forth. So if you fail this skip, and it's because Tifa can't move out of bounds freely, well, that's why you failed to get Null Space Disable, and you're going to want to go back to that step. So we've just shut off our second lamp, and we're going to enter the Sentry Ray fight to get Barrett killed. We can do that with self-destruct, or if he's low HP, just have him get shot by one of these lasers, just like there. The next most crucial element to the skip is to imbue Tifa with what I call collision shift. And that's when her AI has no place to go, so it shrinks its collision box, and we swap to her just as that happens. And I'll show you in slow motion. She shrinks and we swap. And as you can see, if we get it right, she can sort of clip into objects now. You see she's poking through the railing there? So we're going to not switch away from her because it lasts until you switch characters. And we're going to take her downstairs and run her against this gap between a gate and railing. Once we swap to Cloud, if we do our timing right, and then run into that little gap as Cloud afterwards to ensure she stays through it, we will have her out of bounds. And after you run Cloud into fleeing, you can safely switch to Tifa and then have her parry in a straight back and forth line, miraculously giving her enough height to be able to escape the invisible wall prison, go over all the floors and all the rest of the level, parrying her way towards the end chapter trigger. This effect I call Infinite Staircase, or Infinite Slope. And the game more or less just gives it to you for free there, so you don't even have to think about it. Alright, common mistakes. You got your collision shift, you zoom Tifa all the way down to the gap, you swap to Cloud, and he doesn't teleport, which is required for pushing Tifa through that gap. That just means that you were too slow getting to the gap and swapping to Cloud. He ran downstairs to follow Tifa. No biggie, go upstairs and do it again. This is going to be the common failing point for new game speedrunners, because Tifa doesn't have the parry materia and can't move as quickly as I show her moving here. So what you're going to probably want to do is shortcut some sort of ability like Braver on Cloud before sending Tifa downstairs, and that'll delay Cloud from coming down so quickly. Next, you get your collision shift on Tifa, you zoom her all the way to the gap, you swap to Cloud, he warps, but she doesn't go through. It can happen, it's rare, but to ensure that she goes through, you need to be starting your roll or your parry as you swap to Cloud. It increases the chances of it working drastically. Alright, last one, we get collision shift on Tifa. We run downstairs, don't want to be too fast, don't want to be too slow for reasons aforementioned, and we push her through the gap like yesterday's toothpaste. She's out of bounds. We run Cloud into fleeing so we can swap to Tifa safely without teleporting her, and we zip her back, start gaining our height, and now we're going to run to the end of the chapter, right? Oops. I clipped the edge of this valid floor, and it warps her down, which means you gotta run back upstairs and do it all over again. Now, I find this skip to be quite forgiving in that if you fail an aspect of it, usually it's quite recoverable and you can just try again. The only things that you can't do are retry from last battle, because that will end null space disable, or obviously kill all the monsters in one of the two combats that we use for the skip. Now, you see me moving quite quickly with Tifa using this special fast parrying method I like to call parry sailing. I'll show you how to do that here. Basically, you're going to be holding R1 and rolling, and that creates the parry motion that we all know, but as your thumb hits the roll button, you're also going to be tapping the uppercut button that Tifa has, her special move. And if you time hitting those buttons right at the exact moment that you're about to start a new parry, so there's a rhythm to it, it kind of cancels her parry animation. It lets you go right back into it, and that makes her move the fastest she can possibly move in the game. Alright, well that's everything. Hopefully you enjoyed the skip video. Please subscribe if you're not already, because I have more skips to make tutorials for, and that you'll be seeing in the next couple of days. Alright, have a fantastic night everybody, and good luck out there.